Today, we're going to be talking about why underpricing is killing your cash-based clinic. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see with cash-based clinics, or even insurance clinics that are taking some or have some variation of cash service, we'll call those hybrid clinics, is that they are typically underpricing what their cash services should be. And when people come in to work with us in PT Biz, one of the very first things that we want to look at is, what are you charging? What's your sales process look like? Like, how are you setting up the different tiers of your cash services? And one of the first things we do is we help them optimize that, because it is one of the quickest wins that we can get in a business to help them really make more net profit almost immediately. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, gross profit, gross revenue is how much money your clinic is making. Net profit is how much you're keeping. It's really, really important that you price yourself effectively for a couple different reasons. We're going to talk about three big ones. So number one, there's perceived value associated with what you charge, or a lack of perceived value associated with what you charge. Now, I want you to think about, let's say you're in legal trouble to some degree, okay? And you need an attorney to represent you or to help you with something that you're dealing with. You talk to two different attorneys. One attorney, they charge $500 an hour. The other attorney, they charge $100 an hour. Which one do you think is better at their job? Which one do you want representing you in court, in a legal case? Let's say this is an important thing that you have to get right. Let's say your business is getting sued, or you have some sort of business litigation issue you have to deal with. Which one do you want representing you? Most people would assume that the attorney that charges $500 is way better than the one that charges $100. In fact, if it was me and the attorney told me, yeah, I charge $100 an hour, I'm really good, I would think, this person must be terrible. This is the lowest price attorney that I've ever heard of. I'm not going to think to myself, this is a steal deal, I got to go with this person, because this is my business. I can't have it getting screwed up by whatever this legal issue is. I'm going with a person that's $500. They're probably better. They probably have more experience. Now, what if I told you that both of these attorneys had the same amount of experience, the same court case record, like whatever, like they're the same, they're equivalent. Price psychology, perceived value, tells us that this is better than this because it's more expensive. I had to go to the store to get feta cheese for my wife for a salad that she was making the other day. I didn't know there's like 15 different brands of feta cheese. No idea which one's the right one. Cow's milk versus goat milk, I don't freaking know. No idea. What did I do? I looked for which one is the most expensive feta cheese. Let's go with that one. It must be the best one. Price psychology, right? I didn't want to be wrong and then have to go back up there and get a different one. So when you are underpricing yourself, if you are charging $100 per session, you are killing your business. I know you think that you're not. I know you think that you're like doing the right thing, and that might actually be a lot more money than you're used to making per session potentially than what you made if you were working somewhere else. But the difference between somebody charging $100 an hour and somebody charging $300 an hour, there is a massive perceived difference, assuming you can deliver on that. If you are a mediocre physical therapist, if you're not very good, cool, charge $100. If you are world-class at what you do, you need to charge what you're worth. And the perceived value of that is tied to it, whether you like it or not. So if you're fantastic, charge like you're fantastic. All right. Otherwise, people will view you as less good, or not as good as you are, because you're not charging what you are worth. Just as if we're talking about our attorney case. 500 versus 100, give me the one that's going to represent me. Be better. This is my business. This is your body. Give me the best person I can go to. I want the person that is charging the most, right? That means they are worth the most. Now, the second thing is your revenue per provider. This is a big metric that we look at with businesses as they're scaling past themselves. Now, if you're charging $100 a visit, $150 a visit, it's going to be very hard for you to actually scale past yourself unless you do one of two things. Number one, massive amount of volume. So like multiple patients per hour. which would be considered a high volume clinic, which is what most people don't want to do and what they're moving away from. Or two, you have to have a lot of providers that are seeing people at that number, right? So you're not necessarily scaling through volume per provider, but volume in the clinic. And I don't know about you, but I would rather have 3 physical therapists that are producing the revenue of 6 physical therapists, because that's number one, fewer people to manage, fewer things that can go wrong. And also I can afford to pay these 3 people, significantly more than I can afford to pay these 6 people, because they're just not generating as much money per provider. And if you look at revenue per hour, roughly of what we track, we need clinics to be at least at $200 an hour. And I know some of you are listening to this and you're like, how is that possible? How are people charging and making $200 an hour on average for the visits that they have? It's happening all over the country. I'm telling you, in small markets, big markets, any niche you can think of. It's just a matter of you being able to sell and price yourself effectively. And a lot of it's here. It's your mindset. You don't think you're worth what you're worth. If you don't think you're worth what you're worth, how are other people supposed to think that you're worth what you're actually worth? They can't. It starts with you, right? It starts with your own perceived value of yourself. And that trickles down to your staff as you bring them on. So if you're charging, let's say your average is $150 a visit versus me over here, let's say my average is $225. I have so much more net profit because it's the same amount of work. Keep in mind, let's say it's the same city, same overhead, everything's the same. I have more net profit that I can now pay a higher salary, have better benefits, have a better facility, reinvest more into marketing, have more net profit for myself as an owner. Like all of these things improve when you actually improve what you're charging. So you have a higher average visit rate per provider, which allows you to do a host of other things. And it's very, very hard if you're below $200 per visit or per hour. The last thing when we look at this is your ability to be able to step back from your business and truly scale. So if you ever want to be able to step back from your business and create either an autopilot practice or a pilot or a practice that you are going to ultimately sell, which we call these home run clinics. In order to do that, you have to have leadership in place that is running the day-to-day, that is making decisions, that is growing the business, that are running the systems in your place that you've developed within the business, for you to take a step back and not necessarily be as directly involved, and where it is a autopiloted clinic where maybe you're involved a day or two a week, or maybe even less. Or if you want to sell, you have to have mid-level people, leadership level people involved in order for someone to want to buy that. Otherwise, they're essentially buying your role in the business, which they may not want to do. A true investor would want an income stream that they're purchasing, not necessarily a business they have to run. So for you to add value, to add true scale to your business, you have to have enough profit, enough revenue for you to hire, office managers and clinic directors and maybe regional directors, or a true COO operator in your business as it gets that big, to where you now have leadership infrastructure and not necessarily just staff, right? Because staff is going to fulfill, not necessarily run the business. A mid-level person is going to have a different skill set, a more expensive skill set, and they're going to need money to be paid in their salary or in compensation that has to come from the business. So if you're undercharging, you're never going to get to the point where you're actually going to be able to bring these people in that are mid-level people that are going to allow you to take either a step back or create an entity that has enterprise value that can be sold. So this trips you up in so many ways, and it's the one variable that we literally all can change almost at any point in time that you want. You can readjust your pricing whenever you want. That's actually one of the advantages of these types of businesses. It's like insurance isn't telling you what to charge. You're deciding that, right? But it's also one of the negatives, because most clinicians, we grossly undervalue ourselves, even though my intellectual property attorney will charge $650 an hour. And we feel bad about charging 150, 200, 250, 300. We're not even close to this person. Yet we help people with their vehicle in life, their body. For God's sakes, what is that worth? What is it worth to get back to being able to play with your kids? What's it worth to be able to play that sport with your friends that's like your third place and that's your community? What is it worth to learn how to take care of your body long term and add meaningful years onto people's lives? It's worth a hell of a lot more than you're charging for it. And you're the one that has to make that decision and really start to adapt and realize that you're worth a lot more than you are. And if you don't, these are the problems you're going to run into. So you are going to have lower perceived value. People are not going to think that you're worth what you're worth. Even though you're really good, you're charging like you're not that good. Two, you're going to have lower revenue per provider. I mean, you're not going to be able to pay your staff as much. You're not going to be able to have as nice of a facility. You're not going to be able to have as nice of benefits. So you're not going to have as good of attraction of potential staff to work with you and or retention. And the last thing is you'll never really be able to scale to an autopilot clinic where you can take a step back and or to have true enterprise value in your business, because you don't have mid-level people that are able to truly run the business, so that you have something that's more valuable and or more hands-off. These three things can be addressed and adjusted by truly charging what you're actually worth. Now, if you need help with that, if you don't know where to start, or you don't know like what you should be charging or how to do that or any of that stuff, we help people do this every single day. And we've helped literally over 1,000 clinicians face to face, really be able to start, grow, scale these businesses. So if that's something you're interested in, head to physicaltherapybiz.com. You can take a look at what we do. You take a look at some of the clinics we've worked with. This is our wheelhouse. We help people with it every single day. For you, you got to get comfortable with charging what you're worth. That starts with you. That can start right now. Make the decision to make the change. I hope that this helps you. And as always, thank you so much for listening and for watching. And I will catch you in the next video.